Hi, I would like to welcome you to Dr. Angie Live in less than 10 minutes. So, have you ever wondered why your kiddo or yourself or your significant other, why you can play your favorite video game or your kid can watch their favorite show for hours, but they can't sit down for 5 minutes and do homework? Right? That's what we're going to be talking about this week. So focus, concentrate. Why my kiddo can pay attention and focus on their favorite video game for hours, but can't sit down or follow a command, right? For any given amount of time. That's what we're going to be talking about this week. So let's look at this idea of focus in and of itself, separate from ADD and ADHD, right? So before we do that, let's look at ADD and ADHD for a little bit. So ADD is attention deficit disorder and ADHD is attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. Those are both medical diagnoses where their characteristics and their diagnostic criteria can be found in the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, which is the DSM, currently 5, we're on version 5 of that. And within that, to meet that criteria of those diagnoses, there's certain criteria that have to be met. And there's 3 types of ADD. There is one, which is the predominantly inattentive type. Type 2, which is predominantly hyperactivity, impulsivity type. And 3 is the combined. Now, there's multiple criteria, ages. There needs to be some dysfunction going on in their life in relation to the inattentiveness, hyperactivity, and impulsivity to meet those criteria. So think about that. There's about 10% of the population right now that has that diagnosis, at least, right? But there's so many other people that just have difficulties focusing on something that they're not interested in. And I really think this idea of attention deficit disorder is really a misnomer, because all of you guys out there who yourself or your kiddos have focus issues, you know that they have the ability to pay attention to whatever they'd like to pay attention to. So it's not the inability to pay attention, it's the inability to focus or pay attention to what we would like them to pay attention to. So what's the problem? The problem is they just don't know how to consciously shift their attention from something that interests them to something that doesn't interest them, and be able to stay in a place of focus and bring that information in correctly. That's where the struggle is, right? That's where the struggle is. So they know they can focus, but they don't know how they get there even when they're doing something that they're interested in, right? So if we look at these individuals that have this difficulty with consciously shifting their attention to something that they're not necessarily interested in, we know that most of them actually have the ability to hyper focus when they're actually interested and engaged in something, right? So this is a strength. This is not something we want them to stop doing. And we know that 1 in 3 entrepreneurs across North America consider themselves to fall into this category, this style of thinking. So what is this style of thinking that leads to this difficulty with focus? The majority of these individuals are very, very creative. They also tend to be more visual, spatial, conceptual thinkers, probably a little bit less word thinkers than they are visual, conceptual, spatial. And so what that lends to is their ability to think very, very quickly in pictures or concepts, and also spatially see how things relate to one another in the environment, right? But also it leads to this style of thinking, which is more associative style of thinking, which can look like easy distractibility. Now, these people do have issues with distractibility. We'll talk about that in a moment, but it can look like more of a defect than it is when it's actually very much an asset. So what is associative thinking? It's this ability to be thinking about something, and then that thought stimulates another thought. So what does that look like? If I am very linear in my thinking and the teacher says, well, we're going to go through the alphabet, everyone start from A. The whole class A, B, C. The linear thinkers are right on task. They're not distracted to the thoughts. The letters aren't stimulating them into something else. D, E, F, right on to Z. So in school, that looks really nice, right? These gifted associative thinkers think A, B, C. Isn't the ocean, also the sea, and the sea is so blue. And there's so many, there's mammals and fish in the ocean. That's crazy, right? And they go down, and this is all happening silently. And the rest of the class is down at Y, and this little kiddo raises their hand and says, you know what the largest fish in the ocean is? Right? And the teacher says, would you still stick to the subject? He just loses focus, right? Associative thinking. Einstein called this the thought experiments, where he would go into his thoughts and he could peruse into his thoughts and travel different places in his thoughts, make information connections, and bring that information back here and create his theories and his theorems. So the problem that these individuals have is the ability to consciously control their focus and shift their attention onto something. So now let's talk about what is focus. Concentrate, pay attention. Don't we use these all synonymously? But they're not actually synonymous. So let's look at focus. So the Oxford Dictionary defines focus as an act of concentrating interest or activity on something. Yeah, so therefore focus is the ability that allows us to shift our attention consciously onto an activity or a subject without being distracted by our environment or our thoughts. So non-focus, the inability to focus, is the opposite of that. So we're distracted by what's going on in the environment. We're distracted by our thoughts, and we don't know how to get back to this place where we're perceiving what was actually there. The other thing I'd like you to entertain is that this idea of focus, when we are focused, we are actually perceiving what's really going on. So when I am focused, my brain is seeing what my eyes are seeing, my ears are hearing what my ears are hearing. My brain is hearing what my ears are hearing. When I am not focused, my brain is seeing what I think my eyes are seeing and hearing what I think my ears are hearing. So what does that look like? Johnny, yeah, Mom, I need you to go upstairs, get your shoes on, and get downstairs because we're taking off. Okay, Mom. Johnny goes upstairs, doesn't come back down. You go upstairs, what are you doing? He's playing his video games. He's like, you said for me to come upstairs and we're going to be leaving in a while, right? And you're like, why? That's not what I said. I said this, this, and this. But for little Johnny, go upstairs, go off into my thought, associative thinking. What's upstairs? My room, my video game. Oh yeah, I didn't finish my video game. While you're doing 2 and 3, he's in that place, right? So what he's done is he's now not hearing what you actually say, he's hearing what you think, what he thinks you said. And now we've got communication issues because we've got 2 people battling from 2 separate realities. So how can we do this? What can we do? I think it's so interesting that we're always yelling at our kids. I've been in your house, you're yelling, to focus, concentrate, pay attention. Yeah, but we've never shown them how to do that. We have this idea that every human being walking this planet, because they're human beings, should have this innate ability to focus when we yell it at them, right? Nothing could be further from the truth. When our kids start baseball, we teach them all the fundamentals. When they start reading, we teach them the fundamentals. When they learn the alphabet, we teach them the fundamentals, but we don't do that with focus. In my office, when I'm working with someone one-on-one in the office or via Skype or even a group of individuals, the first thing I'm going to do is help give them tools so they actually have something tangible that they do when they want to focus. Also give them tools to help decrease an anxiety state, and also they can self-regulate their energy level at any time. Now, short of coming into my office, what are some things you could do immediately? Number 1, get the book, The Gift of Learning by Ron Davis. All the tools are in there. You can start working with yourself or your kiddo immediately. You can get that from Amazon, dyslexia.com, Barnes & Noble, any place. Again, The Gift of Learning by Ronald Davis. The next thing is get them to understand this idea of focus that they may have felt before. Maybe they use the term the zone. Like, when you get in the zone in sports or playing your video game, you could say, hey, Johnny, you know how you feel when you get into the zone in baseball and all you can see is the bat and the ball, nothing else happening? Or when you're playing your video game and you're in there and you can't even hear what I'm saying, can you get that feeling right now? Hey, that's the feeling of focus. When you're right there, that zone, that's the feeling of focus. Once you've given them that, what you can do is start to set up a relationship between their name and this feeling of focus. So what does that look like? Hey, Johnny, can you go ahead and check your focus? I'm going to give you some important information right now. Oh, you got it? Now give them that information. The more we get their name attached to the feeling of focus, we build that neural pathway in the brain. And just like riding a bike, pretty soon I hear my name, I go into that state of focus, right? The next thing we want to know is that when we are working with these kiddos, allow them to take breaks Being focused on something that they're not interested in is not their normal state of being. It's taking them work. It's taking them a conscious effort to do that. Maybe 10, 15 minutes, then take a break. You know you're doing 3 hours of homework to get 20 minutes of homework done right now anyway, right? What if you could do 1 hour of homework with breaks in between in that hour to take 1 hour to get the 20 minutes of homework done? The next thing is allow your kiddos to move. You know how in the medical profession, one of the first lines of treatment for ADD or ADHD, for attention issues and hyperactivity issues, is actually a stimulant like Ritalin or Concerta. And so we will give them a stimulant because for some reason for these individuals, they get the opposite reaction when they give them a stimulant versus someone who is not with ADD or ADHD or these attention issues where it actually revs them up. Movement is the same thing for these kiddos. If you ask them to stop moving, you're asking them to lose focus. Movement is one tool that they're using right now that allows them to pay more attention and focus in and bring out the distractions around them. So allow them to move, whether that's doing homework on a yoga ball, whether you have a little mouse pad for the computer and they can tap their rubber-ended pencil on that while they're doing, allow them to choose gum, something like that that allows them to move. Last but not least is please don't demand your children to look at you the entire time while you're barraging them with a lecture of what they did wrong or right even. So this idea of look me in the eyes while I'm speaking to you is difficult for the individual who's so easily distracted. If you watch me, I'm a hands talker, a lot of facial movements going on. If someone's got to watch me that I'm working with the whole time while I'm talking at them, yeah, this is so distracting. This could throw them off into their thought world where they're no longer bringing in what I'm actually saying, they're bringing what I think I'm saying. So you can use eye contact to get an initial communication, use their name, connect with their eyes, let them look away, and then give them the information, yeah? So that's it for this one. I just want to tell you guys, I appreciate you guys so much. Getting information out there regarding these gifted and talented, amazing kiddos is my passion, it's my mission. I really, truly believe it's why I'm here on this earth, and I plan to be doing this to the day I die. So I appreciate you for chiming in and listening. What I also offer to anyone out there who's interested, absolutely no strings attached, is I offer a complimentary 20-minute phone consultation so I can help you, which actually helps me help your kiddo, move forward and reach their fullest potential in life. So I can help you with some options. Those options don't have to include me. They don't always include me, but get some clarity. And from my place, from my educated place and my knowing and my knowledge and the skills and tools I have, give you some information so you can move forward. If you're interested in that and all, click on the button right below. And what we'll do is we'll send you a little bit more information when you schedule that so you can kind of get up to par with some information based on our theory and our philosophy so that when I get on the phone with you, we'll be able to just start right out talking about you and your kiddo. So that's it, a little bit over 10 minutes, but I love you. I'll see you next time. Until next time, keep it simple.